Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. As always, our patrons vote on our videos, and the latest Necron poll winner was Vargard Obyron. Now if you want to get involved in these polls, then check out our Patreon service. We do these polls for all the new codexes that have been released since the start of 9th edition. So right, onto the review today. Vargard Obyron from the Necron Codex is a named HQ unit, has all sorts of synergy with the Nemesis Andrak, which we did the Nemesis review last week, so if you've yet to check that out, I'd go check that one out first. I'll put a link in the top right hand corner for you now. So as for Obyron, he sets you back 5 power or 100 points. Only one of this model can be selected for your army. And as for keywords, he's got the Saltec keyword. He's a character, a noble, a lord and an infantry. So being Saltec means he cannot be benefiting from other dynasty code buffs. And of course that includes the custom dynasty codes too. And then being a noble will interact with his command protocols, which we'll touch upon in a moment. And of course being infantry has its own benefits, for example being in cover. As for stats, movement 6 inch, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 5, wound 6, attacks 4, leadership 10 and a 2+ save. So even though he's just a lord, his stat line is much better than a standard lord, a better weapon skill, a few extra wounds and a 2+ save. So ability wise, live in metal, regaining a lost wound at the start of the command phase. Command protocols, which will interact with his noble keyword, as it requires a noble on the battlefield in order to continue gaining benefits from the directives within the command protocols. Furthermore, units that receive the benefits from the command protocols need to be within 6 inches of a character unit, and that doesn't include Catan shards. Now these protocols are selected pre-game, so they are a bit iffy at times. You can get them to work. As for other abilities, you've got Dimensional Translocation, which is basically a deep strike. So you're coming in on turn 2 more than 9 inches away from enemy models, anywhere on the battlefield. That's the 3 standard abilities. Now he's got 6 more unique abilities, starting off with Cleaving Counterblow. When this model is destroyed by a melee attack, do not remove the model from play. After the attacking model has finished making their attacks, this model gets to fight as if it was the fight phase, then remove it from play. Next you've got the Lord's Will. In your command phase you select one friendly Saltec coin within 9 inches of the model. Then until the start of the next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. So this is a Lord's lesser version of a My Will Be Done ability. It's not got an aura either, but it still gives those rerolls of 1s to hit. Relentless March, which is an aura, done to friendly Saltec core units within 6 inches. It basically gives them additional 1 inch movement or advance roll. Now a lot of the Necron HQs have that as standard. 3 more abilities left to go here and they all link to Nemesis Andrak. So the first one is Vargas Duty, which is an aura. While a friendly Nemesis Andrak unit is within 3 inches of the model, enemy models cannot target that unit with ranged attack. So it's a mini lookout sir, but it also closes out the sniper rifles as well. Next you've got Ghost Walk Mantle. At the start of the movement phase you can remove the model from the battlefield, and if you do, then in the reinforcement step of the same phase, set the model back up on the battlefield anywhere within 3 inches of the friendly Nemesis Andrak model. So he could deep strike in turn 2, and then once he's dealt with a unit, he can opt to teleport back to his buddy to give him that Vargas Duty aura protection. Then finally, Ever Present Protector. If the detachment includes Nemesis Andrak, Vargard Obyron can be included in that detachment without taking up a battlefield role slot. Nice, as it means you're going to have a slot free for other HQs which will be needed. So onto his weapon loadout. Now he only comes with a War Scythe. There's no ranged weapons unfortunately. So the War Scythe is a +2 strength, which is strength 7, -4 AP and the damage is 2. So for a quick breakdown, if you're not familiar with the War Scythe, this chap gets 4 attacks base and hits on 2s, so averages 3.3 hits. Chops up toughness 3 models on 2s, resulting in about 2.8 wounds that lightly kill as it's a -4 AP. Versus standard toughness 4 and right up to toughness 6, it's 3s to wound, so about 2.2 wounds, and again likely killing due to the AP, but also the damage being 2, so it's slicing through Primaris Marines like butter. Only invons are really going to save models here. And toughness 7 vehicles need 4s to wound, so about 1.7 on average before potential invon saves, so very choppy. The -4 AP is awesome, and 2 damage weapons right now are really hurting the meta of the game. Now killing 2 Marines isn't the biggest amount of damage, but it is a solid 40 to 50 points taken off the board in a single round of combat. Bear in mind you can be attacking your opponent's fight phase too here, so you are doing damage throughout the battle round, which is going to add up quite nicely. So moving away from the weapons, you need to quickly cover the Dynasty code, which is the Saltec code. So they've got Relentless Advance, which is reroll to morale test, which has no effect on him. And they can also rapid fire up to 18 inch, which again doesn't have any effect with him whatsoever, so that kind of sucks. He does also unfortunately come with a pre-built Warlord trait due to him being named, but it's extremely unlikely that you're going to be fielding him without Nemesis Andrak, who would automatically become your Warlord before Vargard Obyron due to the Royal Court rules on page 51. Now if you were for whatever reason going to take him without Nemesis Andrak and put him as your Warlord, then he'll have Honourable Combatant, which is in the fight phase. Each time the warlord is selected to fight, it can engage in honourable combat. If it does, select one enemy character unit and until the end of the phase, add 2 attacks to the characteristic of the warlord, but you can only attack that enemy character. So not really the best one there, but you're never going to take him as a warlord really anyway. As for stratagems that work with him, you've got resurrection protocols, so use when he's taken down. Due to him being an infantry noble, when he does get destroyed, you roll a d6, and on a 4+, he stands back up again with d3 wounds remaining. Then you've got rarefied nobility for an extra warlord trait, so maybe this is how you get Obyron with the trait, although it's just not worth that command point, is it? Revenge of the Doomstalker, so when your character is destroyed, you can select a friendly dynasty canoptic Doomstalker model from the army. Then until the end of the phase, that Doomstalker can shoot as if it was the shooting phase, but can only target the enemy unit that took down Obyron. But also until the end of the battle, it's a +1 to hit from the Doomstalker to that targeted unit. So obviously it doesn't benefit your character here, but if you do have a Doomstalker, then pop the stratagem for a bit of extra firepower. Now that's all there is with the stratagems, unfortunately. There's not much here to link him. So we've already mentioned the synergy with the Nemesis. Now he doesn't really link to anyone or anything else in the book, so we may as well get on to the conclusion of the model. So there's a few obvious issues here. The first is that he's tied down to the Celtic dynasty. It's not the strongest dynasty, it's already quite niche, and for even the players that do play Celtic, they're probably not going to field him. The next problem is you're very unlikely to select him or the Nemesis. Neither are great selections, and there's tons of other HQs in the Codex that are simply much better. In fact, you're usually struggling to fit them all into your detachment anyway. Okay, he's not going to take up an extra slot if you do take Nemesis, but that's already 1 slot too many. To add to the problem is the fact that he's a named character, so he's not customizable, which I really don't like that GW do this, because it means most players will just ignore the named characters unless the buffs are really worth it in some cases. But in this case, the buffs aren't really that great on him or the Nemesis Andric. So when you combine their total cost, you're talking 12 power or 235 points, which is a pretty expensive pairing that don't do much damage. Now if Vargas Obyron wasn't held by Celtic and Zandric, then he could potentially be a reasonable lord figure due to his better stats and a bit of damage output in melee. But now you've run into another major flaw. The standard lord is only 70 points and 5 points extra to get the same melee weapon, which is the war scythe. The lord keeps all the basic abilities, which are the only ones you really need here, so you are saving 25 points by doing so. To make matters worse, a regular lord is probably bottom of the selections list after the named characters anyway when selecting your HQs for your list. So realistically, you're never going to really see this model outside of a narrative game, and even then, who's buying him? To try and play devil's advocate here, he should be making his points back in an average game of 40k. I personally want my HQs doing a lot more than he can do, but he should still be slicing through enough models before inevitably dying due to his lack of invuln. So we all know that this rating isn't going to be great, but I'm struggling on how low to go with this. But ultimately I'm going to go with the lack of playability within the game itself. If Celtic players aren't using them, then who is? I kind of don't see a point in having him in the Codex if I'm honest. For his rating, Vargas Obyron gets an unfortunate Planet 40k rating of 1.5 out of 5. There's no playability here, and even if you do give him a chance, you're then paying for Nemesis Andric 2, which isn't that great. And if you really need a Lord model, then just go for the generic Lord model. You can even have a Resurrection Orb. Anyways guys, to try and lighten up the mood slightly, question of the day is which unit is worse, Vargas Obyron or the Canoptic Reanimator? That should heat up a few comments for a while. Remember to drop a like on your way out, and also remember to subscribe if you're new. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.